Mindy said, we're one big happy family, and sometimes there's hard things, and we get through it together. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mindy Hord. She is a seven-star, two-time elite coach. She's my coach, and we met 3 years ago through Facebook. I think we just had our three-year friend anniversary on Facebook. And I found her by just scrolling Facebook, and I was doing Insanity at the time. It was a burn DVD, or I think we got it off our infomercial or something. So I had already signed up for a free membership because I kept seeing it on the thing, and the person that I was assigned to never reached out to me. And so over the course of the past 3 years, we just built this amazing friendship, and it's more like family now. We know pretty much everything that's going on in each other's lives. We use each other as sounding boards, bouncing ideas off of each other. She's just an incredibly inspiring person in my life, and so important to me. So I'm going to stop talking before I start crying, and let Mindy tell you guys a little bit about her story, how she got started in this journey, why she's never given up, and some tips on when you feel like you're failing, how to pull yourself out of that.
Hey everybody, so I want to share my positive, since we let everybody else go, but before I get started, and that's that I have been so excited, like the last couple of days, Melissa, when I got on the call, said, how was your day? I'm like, I'm so happy. I just gotten off my call with Brandon that we do on Thursday nights, and I absolutely cherish that time. And, our team is my family, and everybody means so much to me. And the last couple of days, our team has banded together. Most of the leaders have worked together, not my team, your team. We just worked together, and everybody stepped up to the plate. And like Melissa said, there was no pushing, pulling, or dragging it. Everyone went in there. We had a great time. It was to the point where, like, literally the night before I woke, we were doing Emerald in the day that started today. The night before, I woke up at 2. I woke up 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. You know me, I hate mornings, but I was so excited. I was like that kid that was so excited about field trip day. And all day we've just had this energy, and a bunch of us that are the leaders of the team, we were messaging each other back and forth about just the team culture and the way we felt and the excitement. And it's like, we just want to run with that momentum. So I wanted to ask you though, before I get started on my, story and whatever I'm going to be talking about. I don't always know what I'm going to talk about. But I want to ask you, most of you, show of hands, how many of you work for somebody else and are not a full-time coach? Some of them are on calls, so I can't even see if there are. But I would venture to say that probably the majority of the people on this call work for somebody else. So I want just a gut check. You don't have to answer me, but really ask yourself, when was the last time that you woke up several times in the middle of the night because you couldn't wait to get to work the next day? Seriously, tell me the last time that you, after work hours, were messaging or texting or calling your coworkers saying about what a wonderful day was, and you couldn't wait to get back at it the next day. Does anybody here can say that they have that? I highly doubt it. So that's the difference between working for somebody else and working for your dream. That's the difference between picking who your business partners are and being stuck with coworkers or stuck in a job that they didn't want to be, and living somebody else's life and living by their hours, living by their dress code. So, I want to share with you how important this business is. Some people have said I'm obsessed. Well, this has literally changed my life, on every count. So, of course, I'm going to be grateful for it and loyal to it. So somebody said the other day, they were asking me about 21 Day Fix Extreme, somebody I've been talking to, and he was like, I just want to know though, when I do this, am I going to have to keep doing it, or am I going to keep the muscle mass? Am I going to, keep the weight off? I'm like, bro, it's just like a new car. You get a new car, it's not going to stay new forever. You have to do some maintenance. And with anything, you have to keep going if you want to have the results. So for me, Beachbody changed my life. It helped me become a totally different person than I ever thought I could be, the person that I was designed to be. And only when I started to get away from the basics did I start to go back to who I was. And only when I stepped away from the basics did I start to gain my weight back that I had lost, and then even more so. So I want you to understand that whenever you're starting, everybody's super excited as a coach. The first time you get your first challenger, your first coach, whenever you get your first person who says, hey, you changed my life. But the thing is, you're never going to get to a point in this business, or you should never get to a point in this business where you want to stop. Because like Melissa said, this is a business about changing lives and helping people, and really to have a good sense of fulfillment. It doesn't matter what field you're in, but if you're helping somebody, you get a good sense of satisfaction. You're doing good. There's good karma that comes from that. So I want you to make sure that you understand that what you're doing needs to be continued, because that good feeling that comes from working out, that good feeling that comes from getting on calls and connecting with people, and hearing their stories and knowing who your teammates are, all these things that make you feel good aren't going to just last forever. You have to keep putting in the work. And I see so many people who talk about they're struggling in this business, but they don't connect with anyone. They're silent in the team pages. They don't communicate with their coaches. They don't run challenge groups. They don't get on calls. They don't do all these things. So you're not getting the maximum benefit. So make sure that when you say you're struggling, that you're doing all the things that are laid out in front of you. Make sure that you are not squandering this huge opportunity because of the fact that this is like a family feel. And I'll tell you why it's so important to me and why I'm urging you to just go like balls deep into the team. Melissa and I have spent more times on the calls crying, laughing, because we're family. Like, this isn't just about Beachbody. This isn't about, just P90X, Shakeology, 21-Day Fix. This is about a family, because that's what it's given us. And everybody has a different story. But like I tell everyone, the moment you buy a product, even if you don't buy it through a coach, you never are alone. You have this huge support system if you utilize it. There's so many people who push it away, and those are the people who don't have a great experience with it. But I want you to have a great experience. I want you to experience what I've experienced, because when you do that, you bleed Beachbody blue. You wake up wanting to do work. You want to help people all the time. There isn't business hours. I do think that you have to have a balance, but every day I could do this. Every day I could help people. Every day I could get on a call and hope to change your life so that you are a true blue Beachbody coach for the rest of your life, because you believe it. So many of you may know me or may not know me, or some of you may be listening to me for the first time and see that I'm confident talking on a call and seem like I have it all together. Well, before I became a coach, I didn't have it all together. A little bit about me, Melissa and I have, a lot of similarities in some ways about our childhood. My childhood, I was adopted into a family that really should have taken, God's clue and not been parents. And I endured a lot of abuse and really mentally, emotionally, physically. There was sexual abuse, not from my adopted parents, but that I endured as a child. So you take all those things and abandonment issues, and really I had zero self-worth. Like, one time they were trying to be nice, but they were like, man, before you became a coach, it's like you had no self-esteem. Like, I have never seen anybody with such low self-esteem. Like, they were trying to show me that there was a big difference, but I mean, it was that bad. And I didn't believe in myself, and I was suicidal. I've been, had suicidal thoughts since I was 4 years old. I just didn't think that I mattered. I sabotaged anything that ever could have possibly been good, because I mentally, I guess, didn't believe that I deserved it. By the time that I was 28, I was married for the third time. And by the time I was 29, I was pregnant with my third child with the third guy. So really, you think that as time goes by, you already feel like you're insignificant. You can't do shit. And then by the time you're, not even 30 years old, you've got 3 kids by 3 different dads. I left home at 15 and have dabbled in drugs and alcohol addictions and every type of addiction possible since I was, at a young age, 12, 13 years old. So I never got to go to college. And on my 18th birthday, when I was thinking about I'm free, I can go to college, I can do something with my life, I found out literally on my birthday that I was pregnant. And, there's a lot of people out there with, young mom stories. But for me, it gave me some clarity, I guess, because I had somebody to take care of and I kept her alive and I loved her. But in the midst of that, like, I actually lost myself more. I truly lost myself more because I poured myself into being a mom because I didn't really know how to be a mom, but I wanted to be a good mom. And, and I think if you're a parent out there, you can really relate to when you're so busy trying to prove to the world, because there's a lot of pressure on moms that they have to be the perfect mom. There's a lot of pressure on dads that they have to be this, financial security. And it's just, in the mix, parents lose themselves. And I got married a second time, and I thought that I moved from California to here in Texas, and I thought that was going to be the game changer. I thought that everything was going to be great, and I squandered that too. I had another affair. I drugged 2 kids through a divorce. And when you do stuff like that, you literally, I remember thinking, why am I doing this? I just couldn't stop it. I knew that I knew better. I knew that it wasn't right, because anytime you have to hide something, it's not right. But I just couldn't stop it. And really, now that I'm older, I realize I was literally sabotaging my success. And because I just thought I had no hope. I thought I can go to college. People would be like, oh, you can go to college later. And I'm like, no, I have 2 kids. And when I moved to Texas, I could not find a job. I found literally my first job was waiting tables. It was $2.13 an hour. And in California, it's totally different when you're a waitress. But I moved here blindly to get away from my family. And I thought that my whole life was going to change coming to Texas. But when I got here, minimum wage for a waitress was $2.13. I don't remember how much I made, but it wasn't even enough to pay the $80 in daycare that it cost for Haley to go to daycare. I couldn't even pay that. We were behind on that. I had to get on help to have it paid for through the government or whatever. And so that really made me feel like a super awesome winner there, because I couldn't even provide for my own family. And then all the jobs in Texas back in the early 2000s, 2001 when I was working here, literally minimum wage, I think, was $5.15 then. Even though it's cheaper to live in the South, it's not that you can't live on that. And then I just felt trapped because I thought I can't do anything. I can't go, if I'm working and can't afford daycare, how in the hell am I going to go to college? And I just felt trapped, literally, no hope. Where do I go? So I just figured, screw it. It's not, life's not going to ever get any better. There's no hope. My credit was shot from, years before. So I'm just stuck in this. I'm stuck. This is all I'm ever going to be, is a mom without a college degree, So I thought, we had another kid, and then I worked at a daycare. And I remember my ex-husband, he worked 14 to 18-hour days to take care of us, to give us a better life, because he knew that we struggled. But he was gone all the time. And so then I felt bad for him. So I couldn't find any full-time jobs. I took 2 part-time jobs. So I literally would drop my kids off at daycare. I had to put my daughter, Emily, my second daughter, in daycare when she was 8 weeks old, which really sucked. And I would go to work, and then I would leave and I would eat in the car and drive across town and work at the daycare. And then I remember when they offered me full-time at the daycare, I quit the other job because it was free daycare. But I still was I got free daycare for 1 kid. But when I was there, I was only bringing home $230 every 2 weeks, which was ridiculous. So, whenever you're doing that and you're a mom and then your husband's out there busting their ass, you feel like crap. And, our marriage started going down the hill. Like I said, I had an affair. We split up. And then I jumped into another relationship with my now husband, which, we worked things out. But it was the same thing. I went into the insurance world because that was the only job that I could actually find. It wasn't even that I liked it. It was that my grandfather and my mom and dad had an insurance agency, so I was familiar with it. So I just wrote on that, I'm 3rd generation insurance, and I just faked it till I made it. And, the jobs were $7 or $8. One job was $10 an hour, but the $10 an hour job, I had a commute. And so by the time I, filled up my cart, I didn't have money, and I just struggled. And I just thought, God, is really this it? I was hiding all these skeletons in my closet, literally, 3 years ago, I would have never told anybody, I never did, about any of this at all. But I just was ready for a change, because I just remember thinking like, God, I can't live the rest of my life like this. And so I didn't know what to do. And I just kept swimming. I just kept going through it. And then I ended up like becoming like, because of having addictions and mental illness, because I do have, general anxiety disorder, borderline personality disorder, and severe depression that I've had since a child, on top of just, other issues. But, I thought, I just was always prone to finding unhealthy ways to cope. So it was literally to the point where when we were struggling, my husband went to work in the oil field, and that's how Adam is actually on our team. They became friends, and they met about 5 years ago. But it was at that point where we were on the verge of divorce for like, I don't know, like the 10th time. I don't know. Somebody said one time, like, you and Ryan are always like divorcing. So I can't even remember what time it was, but I had like literally a nervous breakdown where like my whole body was covered in a rash. And I went to every doctor and dermatologist. They couldn't figure out. My blood pressure was like, I don't know, 100 over like, or 200 over 100 at one point. And they were like, it was just stress, because I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't have any friends then. Everybody had ditched me when I had my son, and I just felt lost. And so we didn't know what to do. So whenever the kids went to bed, we would sit in the garage and we would just get hammered. And then, financially it was bad. So when he went to the oil field, it was a break from each other, but it was also like, that's not the way I wanted to live. Like, I didn't want to be a single mom. I didn't want to do that to another kid. We had promised ourselves, and we had promised our son when I was pregnant, that we wouldn't do that, but we just didn't know any different. And it got so bad that even when he was gone, like literally like in the oil field, he was gone like 5, 6, 7 days at a time, and only home for 2 or 3 days, and on nights and on days and back and forth. And it was 2 hours from where we lived that the location was. But even when he was gone, I would get like hammered drunk by myself in the garage. Like literally it was that bad that like I didn't even like to be alone with myself. And every day I would climb out of bed and hungover, take my kids to school half asleep, and just get by. And I remember making like $32,000 a year. I found a job finally in town where I didn't have to commute, and it was perfect. I thought it was the ideal job. But like every day I went, I was, like I said in the beginning of the call, I didn't look forward to it. I mean, I didn't look forward to it. Nobody says like, I can't wait to get there. Like, it was drudgery. The highlight of my job was like that we got to leave at 4:30 on Friday. Like, that was the highlight. But I just was lost. And then by then Rebel was 18 months old. So I, being over 30 for the first time was like, oh my God, I can't, like I'm gaining weight. I'd never struggled with my weight before. I was skinny fat, not healthy, not fit, but never struggled with my weight. And I didn't know what to do. And I was so insecure that before that, I would never work out in front of anybody at a gym. I would go when nobody was there, leave when people came. I wouldn't work out in front of my husband. And so I was just trapped. But when he went to work in the oil field, it was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because it was right then where I realized that, like, oh my God, I just turned 30. I needed to do something. I was miserable. I hadn't really identified that I had a drinking problem, but I remember sitting down at my desk and wearing leggings because it's super cold here in Texas. And like literally I had fat rolls all separated by the one size fits all elastic waistband. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And so I realized we went on a company trip and I only had 2 outfits to wear that covered up, my body. And I remember really hating myself even more. And, I just happened to stumble upon my coach on Facebook, like Melissa happened to stumble upon me. And we hadn't built a relationship because I didn't know her from Adam. I like scoured her page and her husband's page and her sister's page for a couple days. I remember I friended her, or I followed her, because I was just being nosy. And, I remember she messaged me. She was like, hey, thanks for the friend request. Are you looking for help with health and fitness? I was like, no, I'm good. I'm fine, and come to find out I did need help. And once I started to trust her, I actually took a leap of faith on her and ordered P90X. And then that is when everything changed. She put me in a challenge group and I got involved. She maintained contact with me. And even though we didn't know each other, she was helping me. And she was the first person that wanted to help me. And I remember that feeling that, like, wow, somebody actually cares about me, not because they have to, because she just wants to. And so that I want to let you know that when you're a coach, you may be that person to somebody. So don't ever take for granted the power that you have on other people and what effect you can have. One person, because literally, if I had done things differently, there's a good chance you all wouldn't have found this. Or if you did, it would have been a different team and the outcome could have been different. I'm not saying that I changed it because, my coach is the one who made the first impact and the coach before her made the impact. But I'm telling you, one life changed. Like literally, because I did the one day in Emerald group or Emerald one day group yesterday, we added 14 new coaches to our group. Like, so literally one person's decision, I decided to do the Emerald and Day training and put it together, that changed 14 lives. Like that, I mean, that's the impact it made, and I didn't realize it. But once I started to I started friending, I friended her sister. I was in this challenge group for the first time. I was around positive people. I never knew what it was like to be around positive people. You know why? Because I was negative. I attracted negative people, and I was drawn to negative people. And I remember thinking oh my God, this was a whole new world to me. You don't have to be miserable. And I remember having this aha moment that if you just dwell on the negative, it feels worse. If you just try to find the positive, it doesn't make that problem go away, but you actually feel way better than when you dwell on it. And this was all from just being around positive people. When I would log on to Facebook, I would see just positive posts, fitness posts, all these different things. And I thought, wow, I like this. And then the magic happened. On day 13, I woke up and I literally could pull my pants out and lost at least a pant size. I didn't measure. I was bad. I didn't take measurements or I didn't own a scale, but I shared that on Facebook. And then that is the day that literally my life changed. That's when I was offered the coach opportunity. Literally before my coach asked me to be a coach, I didn't even know that the opportunity was even possible. But then as soon as she offered to me, I just started saying no, which I look back and I tell everyone all the time, how could I say no to an opportunity that I knew nothing about and didn't even know existed a couple minutes before? But it was all because I didn't believe in myself. And so when people give you objections, it's not because you suck as a coach. It's not because they don't like you. It's not because they're too cheap. It's not because of this. It's usually because they don't believe in themselves. And she just kept working with me. And then I finally realized that I guess these are just, excuses. They're not really valid. And they're not well-founded reasons. But she believed in me. And I just remember thinking, she took a chance on me to believe in me when she didn't have to. And so I can't let her down. So because of that, I just busted my ass because I thought the last thing I want is one other person to be like, oh, I chose incorrectly. I made a mistake on you. I was mistaken. You're not really that awesome. So I worked my tail off. And then I realized that I am awesome and that I was born to be awesome, that just bad shit happened along the way that made me believe that I wasn't awesome. And that's what I just want to share with everybody is that you are awesome. You were designed to be happy. You were designed to be fearless. You were designed for a purpose. And somehow some mean kid or something your mom or dad or your grandparent or somebody did something that made you stop believing that you were worth it. Stop believing that you could do it because of something that happened to them. We all transfer our beliefs from one person to the other. But I am so thankful that my coach believed in me and that she gave me a chance to be the person I am because I don't know where I would be. And I really wonder where all of you would be had I said no. And I jumped in and I did everything she said because I wanted to make her happy. I wanted her to be proud of me. I wanted her to know that she made the right decision when it came to me. And I made sure that every time I brought somebody onto my team that I treated them with the same love and the same belief and the same relationship. And I know that's why we've had a great team culture because the people that I've had a great relationship with, they cultivate the same thing. Because when people love you and they feel that you love and care about them, they'll perform and they'll do anything just to stay your friend and just because they want your approval. And so you have that power on somebody. So make sure that you know your own worth because so many people don't know their own worth. So they don't know the impact that they're having on other people and they quit before they can see how great they are. They don't do the things that we tell coaches to do that they see successful coaches doing because they think that they can't do it. So why bother? But I'm going to tell you, once you start doing those things, you can see that you can be successful. Like before I became a coach, I truly didn't think I could be successful. I truly believe that successful people just were born successful. And you know why I thought that? Because I never hung out with successful people. Not until I became a coach did I start being around successful people. They told us to study successful people. I'm like, what is that? That's personal development. You know, watch other leaders. And then that's when I realized that, like, literally the most successful people are the most fucked up people. The ones that had the bad things happen to them, that had the things that they had to overcome. Like the people who had it great and had it perfect, they don't know how to operate when life throws a curve. It's the people like Melissa and I who had hard shit happen to us that we just keep getting up and keep going because there's no other choice. And that's what I want to teach everybody, is that even if you're somebody who had a great life and then something just happens and you think your whole world's falling apart, like I want to teach you that you can recover from it and that it's okay. I want everybody to believe the power that they have to change their own life. Like literally, you have the power to change your own life. When you decide to take your life in your hands, you can change the direction. Nobody else controls it. Nobody does. You have that. And that's one thing that I shared with one of my new coaches. She actually became friends with me on Facebook the same day Melissa did. She was a free, customer. She did my challenges with me. She bought 21 Day Fix whenever Melissa did. She had great results. She just wasn't ready yet. But she signed up as a coach on late Monday night, and she jumped right in to my training, jumped right in on the team call Tuesday night. She jumped right in on the Emerald in 1 day training, and boom, she hit Emerald in 1 day. And that's what I told her. It's like, whenever you decide that you can do it and that you're worth it, you can do anything and you can make anything happen. It may take some patience, to go, she can't go from signing 2 coaches to be a full-time coach. But whenever you make that decision and then you realize you're worth it and you can do it, it becomes addicting. But so many people will literally not do what needs to be done to ever get to that point. So we talk about the 3 vital behaviors, which is now the 4 vital behaviors. Do it for 30 days. You will see change. You will see major results if you do it consistently. That's the one thing that I told everyone when I spoke at the event that Melissa came for this last weekend. Is I was like, just do me a favor. Do yourself a favor, actually. 30 days of the 4 vital behaviors. 30 days. That's it. Stick to it. And then tell me. I've never had anybody who's doing those regularly say that they're struggling. And this call's about ready to end. So if you want to jump back on, all you have to do is click on that same link to get back on. But don't sell yourself short. Don't sabotage your success. Make sure that you are doing the right things. Before you can tell anybody that you suck or that you're not successful, make sure that you're doing all the things that the successful people are doing, because they all started exactly where you were, and they all have had the same struggles that they just don't talk about because they're too busy grinding and they're too busy moving forward. But I guarantee you, all the top coaches, even the coaches who've been in this business for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, they still face the same things new coaches do. They just keep going. And so I ask everyone on this team is just be here in a year and then be here the next year, because you got started for yourself, and any life that you change is just icing on the cake and an extra added benefit. I don't want to get started. I wanted to share one last thing, but I don't want to get started before we get cut off. So I don't know. It says less than a minute. It's been longer than a minute. I guess I'll just start. In close, we'll just tell you about last year. There's all the successes that I had, but last year was a very unsuccessful year because I'd gotten away from basics and I stopped working out regularly. I wasn't doing personal development. I thought that I was pretty much invincible. I thought that, I got myself nice and shiny and I was going to stay that way forever. And I started digging into my past about my adoption and opening all these doors, and went back to the old Mindy, the suicidal Mindy, the hopeless Mindy,